So far, we've been testing our application on our local computer using TestRPC. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can upload your program to a real Ethereum network. As always, we're going to start off where we left off in the previous lesson. One way to do this is to download the GitHub repository with the appropriate branch. After the repository has downloaded, we'll change into the project directory and install the node dependencies. We're going to be uploading our program to an Ethereum test network. This test network is called the Rinkeby testnet. So after the node dependencies have installed, make a directory called Rinkeby, change into it, and open Atom at that directory. Inside the Rinkeby folder, make another folder called data.dir. This will hold the data from the blockchains downloaded from the Ethereum testnet. Let's make two more files in this directory, one called rinkeby.json and the other called startrinkebynode.sh, which will hold a shell script. Copy and paste the geth command you see on the screen into the startrinkebynode.sh file. You can also find this command inside the description of this video. Let's save this file. Now let's go to rinkeby.json. Go to the following website, www.rinkeby.io. In the left menu, click on Connect Yourself Go Ethereum Geth and look for the full node window. Here you'll see a link for rinkeby.json. You can click on it and then copy the entire text from that web page. Simply paste it into rinkeby.json and then save the file. That's it in terms of files and folders. So let's go back into the console now. The first thing we need to do is to initialize the Genesis block of the Rinkeby testnet. Make sure you're in the Rinkeby directory and enter the following command. If you're on a Mac or Windows machine, your command will be very similar. Look for the successfully wrote Genesis state command on the console. Next, give your shell script execution privilege. I'm going to split the screen now, and on the top screen, I'll run my start Rinkeby node.sh script. This will start downloading the blocks starting from the Genesis block from the Rinkeby test network. Look for the IPC and HTTP endpoints to make sure they're correct. To monitor the downloading of the blocks, in the second console window, I'm going to attach to the geth console. Make sure you set the IPC exactly as it is on the top window. This should give you a geth prompt. At some point, the top window will start downloading new blocks. Look for the text that says Imported New Block Receipts. If this doesn't happen, Simply exit the top console and run the start Rinkeby node script once again. So as you can see here, I've started downloading new blocks. In the bottom window, I'm just going to exit and come back into the Geth console one more time. We don't have any accounts yet, and you can see that with the eth.accounts command. We'll be able to create accounts once we've downloaded all the blocks for the Rinkeby network. To check the status of our download, you can use the eth.syncing command, which will show you the current block you've downloaded and the highest block, and this should give you an idea of how long you have before you've downloaded the entire blockchain. This can take anywhere between 20 and 60 minutes depending on the speed of your internet connection. You can keep repeating the eth.syncing command to see where you stand. You'll know when you've finished downloading all the blocks when the eth.syncing command returns false, which is the case here. Before, when we were using TestRPC and Ganache, the test accounts were created for us automatically. Here we have to create them manually inside of Geth console. The command to do this is personal.newAccount. And inside the parentheses, you can enter a password. Here I've chosen Crypto Masterclass. You'll be immediately presented with the Ethereum address for that newly created account. Before we can use an account, we need to unlock it. And to do that, we use personal.unlock. The first input is f.account0, or the account you want to unlock. The second is the password you chose for that account. The third is the number of seconds you want to unlock that account. The return should be true if you're successful in entering this command. Let me create one more account by repeating the exact same process. Now it's time to import these accounts into MetaMask. Before continuing, make sure you're in the Rinkeby network, and you can do this by dropping down the menu in the top left of MetaMask and selecting Rinkeby. In previous lessons, we used the private key to import the accounts. This time we're going to use a slightly different technique. If you're on a Linux machine, you'll have to open MetaMask in its own Chrome window, using the URL you see here. So first we log into MetaMask. Then in the top right corner, we select Import Account. This time we switch to JSON, and we choose File. The JSON file we're looking for is located in a folder called KeyStore, and KeyStore is located in the folder called data.dir that you created earlier under the Rinkeby folder. We're also going to enter the password that we chose for this account in Geth console. After a few moments, MetaMask should import that account. Let's rename the imported account to something useful. We'll call it Chatway Coinbase. I'm going to repeat the exact same process to import the second account using the second JSON file inside of KeyStore. Let's call this account Chatway User. Let's go back into the console. We need to make some slight modifications in truffle.js. Let's go into that file. You can see here how I've defined the Rinkeby network. Also note that I'm still using the local host as my dev server. Now let's go into deploy to rinkeby.sh and enter the following command. This is exactly similar to the previous command we had for deploying our contracts, except we've switched the development node to the Rinkeby node. Let's go back into the console after saving those files. Before we can deploy our contract to the Rinkeby network, we need to acquire some Ether. You'll notice that both accounts in MetaMask have a 0 balance for their Ether. You may recall that in Test RPC and Ganache, we were automatically given 100 Ether for each account. This isn't the case for Rinkeby. We have to manually acquire the Ether. The way to do this is to use what is called a crypto faucet. So go into rinkeby.io website and look for crypto faucet. From there, follow the simple instructions listed on how to acquire Ether for Rinkeby. It's quite simple and it just involves posting your Ethereum address to a social network. I've gone ahead and done that for our accounts now, and you can see that I have 3 Ether for each account. Let's go back into the console. Now we're ready to deploy our contract to Rinkeby. Let me first create another console window. Then I'll change from the Rinkeby directory into the project folder. Let's first give my scripts execution privilege. Now I can run the deploy to Rinkeby script. You can see the contract compiling and migrating. Also notice that the transactions that are created for deploying the contract, which we previously saw in Ganache, can now be viewed directly inside the Rinkeby blockchain in the top window. Also keep in mind that since we're deploying to a real network with real miners, this deployment will take much more time than it did previously in the Test RPC and Ganache framework. Meanwhile, you can track the migration in the top and bottom windows. Once complete, you'll see a successful message at the bottom console. Once you see a saving artifacts message, you'll know the deployment is complete. Now we're ready to test the program. So let's go into our home page by first running our dev server. This will automatically launch Chromium. First thing you'll notice is that the Ether balance matches the MetaMask account, so that's good. Also notice that the Ether is less than 3 because I had to use some Ether to deploy the contract. Also note the contract owner address, which should equal the Chatway Coinbase account's address. Our smart contract is such that the Coinbase account automatically gets a registered inbox. Let's switch to the second account and create its inbox. The process is exactly the same as in the Test RPC setting, except the transactions here take longer to get approved because real miners on the Rinkeby network have to process them. You can check the status of the transaction by clicking on the transaction inside of MetaMask. This will take you to the Rinkeby Etherscan website, and there you'll find a lot of useful information on that transaction. Etherscan will also let you know when the transaction has been successfully processed. If I go back to our home page now and refresh the page, you'll see that the second inbox has been created. Now we're ready to send and receive messages. Let's go ahead and send a message to the first account from the second account. We'll say Rinkeby is cool. Again, submitting this to the Rinkeby network will take some time. You can see that it's still pending here. At this point, my transaction has been approved, and I can see the amount of Wei I spent. Let me switch to the first account, which was Chatway Coinbase. Refresh the page, and you can immediately see your message inside of the table. If I click the row, I'll see the contents of that message. I can reply directly by clicking the reply button. Again, I can submit this transaction to Rinkeby, and if I switch to the second user, I should see the first user's message. And you can see that the message was received successfully. So our program is working great. This concludes this lesson. As an exercise, try uploading your program to the Ethereum mainnet. Just keep in mind in that case you'll be spending real Ether.